Boom. Welcome to another episode of Wednesday night's main event. I am your host, Kelly Bullock, the Bullock Experience, Mr. Creek Junkie Extraordinaire. And beside me here is the master of the jig tie-in, Mr. Eric Massey himself. How are you doing?
Kelly, how you doing tonight?
I am
I
good.
wouldn't say master. Don't give me that title.
They'll give you the master.
Not the master. I know. Well, not. I'll settle with good, not the master.
So tonight's we're just gonna tie some jigs. The both of us. We're going to talk about. I want to go off a topic that I kind of proved yesterday, and I'm kind of paying for it with the sniffles. Does cold water affect creek fishing? And I kind of proved that yesterday that the fish move when the water is at a cold temperature. And I didn't go just to any part of a creek that I've never caught fish. I fished in a part that I've catch the stretch I did. I usually catch about 10 to 20 fish in that stretch and didn't catch one fish, no bites. And I think I fished structure against the banks, deep holes, nothing. So I know they moved out to deeper water. So I know I've pretty much said cold water does affect it. So what's your thoughts?
My is probably one of my favorite times to fish. When that water gets, say, 60 down to like about 42, 40 degrees, my favorite time of year to fish. That is absolutely right. Like right now, I'm so waiting for Saturday. It's supposed to be like 50 degrees here, but I know our water temperature's down. It's got to be like right at 50, maybe dipping into the 40s after this week.
Mm-hmm.
But I know those fish will move in a spot, and they'll go from brush pile to brush pile to brush pile, going after shad. And usually, if we can find a pattern on how those fish are moving in that cold water, we can usually just turn on the fish. Usually, we do a lot better in the wintertime than I do. I'll take this time of year, wintertime, from November until January, February, more so than I do the spawn.
Yeah. Okay.
Way more than I do the spawn.
We got 7 wonderful people in the house. Let me shout out a few of them we got in here. We got Sampy, Mr. Mike Sampin in the house. We got Catfishing for Real. There's Apache Adventures. Good to see you, buddy. Haven't seen you in a while. There's Coastal Water. Another Mike Sampy. He's going from both channels. Oh, we lost him. We got Fishing with Squirrel, and that's it right now. 8 people. Appreciate you. He'll be back in here in just a second. So we're just going to tie some jigs. His internet's in and out, in and out. What's up, Any Finn? What's going on? Appreciate you coming in here. Tagging out. I need to find my hackle feathers. He'll be back in just a minute. We got green top. Go with a dark green here. Waiting on Eric to get back in here. White bass and crappie here in North Carolina stay stacked, and the backwater creeks up to structure about 6 to 8 feet deep. Yep. Yeah. I was fishing in maybe most of my spots maybe are like I don't know. I want to say 2 to 4 feet deep. So, and I was fishing those deep spots and still couldn't get nothing. I should put that nonsense up. That's no. Trying to figure out what I want to put on here. There he comes.
I killed it. Absolutely killed it. Every time I touch something, I do that. I did it to. I think I've done it to Lau and Mark both.
Oh, good gosh. It happens.
It happens. I got bad, but then I got it started booting it back up and said I didn't have the internet connection. I was like, man, I really jacked it up this time. We are back at it.
You get it.
So, what's your opinions on winter tower, like the spawn? Because I always like getting other people's opinion on this if it's the same as mine.
Honestly, I mean, I've fished this year from spring until now. My best time in the creek is around summer to fall. Springtime, I don't get very much bites, but I fish wade creeking, so I'm wading through the creeks and stuff. So spring bite is there, but it's not as plentiful like when I hit the summertime when that water is warm, and then it starts cooling off to that fall, but it's still warm enough to where they're still hungry. That early spring, they're not getting that bite. They're not as hungry yet.
Do you hit a spot in wintertime where the creeks are just not at all producing anything?
As of yesterday, yes. The creek that I hit yesterday, I normally always go to, wasn't hitting. I didn't even get a bite at all. And I mean, we were down.
I didn't know
air temperature was at 37 when I hit the creek, so I know the water temperature was pretty cold, and it has been. But I mean, I figured just like normal most fish, they're gonna follow the bait. They're gonna follow their food source. Plus, they're gonna go to warmer water anyways.
Yeah, they're going to go somewhere where they feel safe, somewhere it's comfort.
Yeah, and a lot of people I've heard a lot of people talk about the sun hitting, like they're going to go up shallows because the sun's going to hit that water.
Yeah.
Well, they are to a point, but if their bait source, their food source is going to move out of that shallow creek, they're going to follow it. They're not going to stay there.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you 100% on that. I think that holds true for lakes as well as it does creeks, rivers, streams, ponds. I think they will get up there and warm up, but I think when they're not going to be that far behind them.
No. And usually, especially, I know a lot of the catfish guys are in here. Our catfish are going to go deep. They're going to be deep right now. They're going to be in that nice, cool, warm water that doesn't change. They're going to be above that freezing point.
And
be above that freezing point and below the cold water. Below the cold, they're going to be that sweet spot. That deeper water. They're going to be in. A lot of them's going to be in that anywhere from 10 to maybe 20 to 30 feet deep. But they're not going to drop any lower because then they get that past that frost, that freeze line.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think they're always looking for food, and they're always looking for safety and stability.
Yeah.
Stable water temperatures. I think they like stable water temperatures.
Yes. I agree.
Keeps them from having to change metabolism style. Yeah. It's a little bit easier on their bodies when they don't have to keep changing back and forth.
Yeah, I agree.
But where I grew up at, we did a lot of wade fishing, and that was always that was probably one of the first things in fishing that got me hooked was wade fishing creeks. We used to find some of the tributaries that dumped into the Ohio River, and we would trek up, go up from the Ohio River up some of those little tributaries.
What's going on, Monty? And there's First Floor Audio. Appreciate you coming in here, buddy.
Do you crappie fish in the wintertime, or are you
I
strictly?
will. I usually go with a buddy of mine and do crappie fishing. Uh, Jeremy Colvin, fin seeker.
Yeah.
I usually go out with him.
Yep.
But now that I've got a boat, I'll probably do it myself now and go out more.
Where do you go? What lake?
Lake Cumberland.
Lake Cumberland. I ain't been on Cumberland in a long time.
Yeah.
Real long time. We'd make a few trips down there every year fishing for stripers.
Yeah. We got good.
But it's starting to
trout
get a
fish.
name for. Yeah, it's starting to get a name for crappie fishing now too, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got some spots.
We fished Rough River a lot, No Lynn, Kentucky Lake, Barkley Lake.
Yeah.
Rough River was probably my favorite. That was my all time favorite. That's probably what I call my original home lake. So what do you got in your vice? What are you working on?
I am. I've got a little small. These are little sickle hooks, is what these are. Little small sickle hooks. Let me get one out and I'll show you in the camera. So, little small sickle hooks.
Yeah.
So I've got a green one on, and I've got a little blue. Right now I'm tying a little blue
That'll make
feather
a
on the
good
back of
looking
it.
fish. Blue and orange. That was that color I was trying to think of that I wish I used a lot more than what I do.
Yeah.
Blue and orange. It looks good.
Yeah.
It gets my attention for sure.
Yeah. Let's see. We got anybody that's got questions or anything? Everybody's just talking to each other. Patchy was talking about stripers run also in the creeks, throwing that willow spoon and a rig.
Yeah, they ring.
Yeah, a rig, but the big spoon's like 6-inch long. He's talking about
I've
coding
never
days are
thrown a
better for
spoon that
him.
long.
Yeah,
Code. I
using
think that
muzzle.
they are for me.
Yeah.
I
First
like.
Floor
I
Audio
don't. I
says he
don't.
does beach casting here. He's in south of England, so he does the beach casting.
I see. That's pretty cool to get people from England and
Yeah.
here, or people from other countries talking about. I talk a lot with a guy from Australia, and me and him talk back and forth quite a bit about his fishing versus my fishing, and it's just pretty neat to hear, different tactics from different countries.
Now, there's a question that you can answer better than I can, since
What
I haven't been
tethers
doing
work
it.
best
I
for
haven't been doing it long enough.
it? Probably the easiest one to start out with is probably going to be hackle. That's the easiest one to work with because with hackle, you have got a pack of feathers out of that drawer, that top drawer. With the hackle, you've got a really good hard stem that you can tie to.
Yeah.
See what green was in there. They're a little bit stiffer and a little bit easier to use. To me, if I was going to, suggest a feather to start tying with, it would be some type of hackle. Well, I might even be out of hackle.
And the one I'm
But
using
it's
right
just a
now
feather.
is
He was.
mine's a hairline saltwater neck hackle blue is what mine is.
Just like that right there. I've got some smaller packs of it, and I'll kind of show you.
Yeah, that's this one. That's what they look like.
Yeah, that's strung hackle. That's the easiest, and that's about what you're going to tie with is a feather like that. And
Yeah.
when
And I've got,
you
I mean,
trim that feather,
I've got some strung marabou. I mean, there's other ones that you can
yeah,
use.
marabou. That's what I was tying with right now was marabou.
Yeah.
Marabou, you'll get a lot more action off hackle. You'll get
Mm-hmm.
a pulsating effect underneath the water.
Yeah.
It's not hard to tie with. It just takes a little while to get used to knowing how much you need to put on. But
Yeah.
yeah, I tell anybody that's starting, start small. You can always add to it later. Don't start out with a whole big glob of marabou.
Yeah.
Because it's easier to add it than it is to take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. I usually, like I did on this one, I took the very tip off of it. So, I mean, if I hold up
Yeah.
one beside it, I mean, you can see there's the tip of the other one.
Yep.
I took off about that much of it.
And that's the
That may be too
one
much.
really
That may be
bad.
too much.
Well, I mean, I usually way I gauge how much I'm gonna cut off of it is from the head to the bend of the hook times 2.
Times 2.
So
Okay.
if just for instance, if from the head to the bend of the hook's an inch, you want a 2-inch feather.
Mine's just a little bit longer than that, just a tad bit longer.
Yeah,
not too bad.
It kind of depends on your preference, what you want to tie, what the look you're trying to achieve. You might want to go a whole lot longer than that, and maybe have them feathers just going all over the place when it hits.
And see, that's what I did on that one. I made them go outward.
And yet, if that's the look you want and that's what you're wanting, then go for it. If you like that outcome, tie that jig that way.
Mm-hmm.
There's no right or wrong way. There's no guidebook on it. It has to be tied like this, or that jig's not going to work. That don't exist. All caught a fish on something that's got that jig buried clear back in the back of his throat.
Oh, yeah.
If that would have been a 64th of an ounce or a quarter of an ounce,
mm-hmm.
it's still going down their throat. They're still going to eat it. So don't be afraid with tying too long, too short.
Yeah. Oh yeah, actually, yeah. First Floor Audio, he does a lot of. He makes music and stuff like that, original music and stuff like that. So yeah, so for him to be able to get out there and fish, that's his time to unwind and chill out and things like that. So yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's mine too. That's my way to unwind and reset for the week.
Yeah. Oh yeah, backlash. Yeah, you'd backlash anything. Patchy had a follow-up. He says, now for the follow-up question, what kind of feathers would not as good or try to avoid using?
Here's a good one. Turkey feathers have got no play to them, no flex to them. They look like they would make the best looking jig ever, but there's very few of, like take a turkey's fan. Those feathers that are in that fan, some of the fibers off of it, you could maybe get away with using, but it is so hard to tie with. I had a guy actually send me a whole fan off a turkey that he had killed, the whole mount, put it all. The beard, did you try tying with the beard?
I have not. My hair's not long enough.
Yeah. That turkey beard is so brittle. You bend it in a 90, it breaks.
Oh, it breaks.
And,
yeah.
And that guy was begging me. He sent me his turkey beard, and he's like, man, I really want crappie jigs out of it. I couldn't do it. You couldn't do it. I could tie them real light and make a jig out of it. But to be fishable, it wasn't going to work.
What's the weirdest thing you've tied with?
Another guy's beard. A friend of mine, full-grown beard, and he was getting ready to shave it off because of promotion he got at work. And his kids thought it would be awesome to get something made out of his beard. And they cut his beard, and they put some of it in a Ziploc bag, and they asked me if I hadn't known the guy, there is no way ever, and I wouldn't do it again. I wouldn't do it again. I couldn't. I did about a dozen jigs out of it, and I was like, oh, that's it. I'm not doing it anymore. That's it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's the worst thing I've ever tied one out of.
Well, my thing is...
he still got those jigs. I ran into him a couple weeks ago.
My thing is like, human hair don't, when it's wet, it mats. So it's like if you put
Yeah.
it down in the water, it's not going to fan out like a feather would.
No, it
It's going to clump. It's going to clump together.
and a beard hair is even worse because the beard hair is
It's
very
coarse.
coarse.
It's very, yeah.
It don't. I guess maybe it floats, but it don't flow. It don't move.
Mhm.
It's just there. I mean, if you're gonna do it, and you're gonna tie a jig out of your own beard hair, it's gonna be because it's gonna be a reaction. Women pass them, pulling past some fish, and they're just gonna go after for instinct. But yeah, I don't think I'll use any more beard hair.
That's a good question. So Susquehanna Stan says, do you use any attractant on your jigs?
Absolutely. I am a die-hard fanatic with crappie nibbles. Berkeley crappie nibbles. Pink in color. I will use them if I know I'm catching them without them, I won't use them. Berkeley crappie nibble goes on every single time. And if you're using, here's the tip too, if you're using a hand-tied jig and you got some kind of body material on it, instead of putting a crappie nibble on that hook, rub that crappie nibble into that body, let it soak inside that body of that. You'll be that hours later, it's still got to set into it versus that crappie nibble just falling off of it. But I am a die hard. I would rather have crappie nibbles in my boat than minnows most of the time. I don't feel right if I don't have crappie.
Yeah. Another question we had was coastal, and I want, because you're doing this on your Spotify podcast right now, right?
Yeah, this will be on Eric Massey Jig Company Spotify.
Yeah. So those that are watching and stuff, and those will be listening on the Spotify. It is at Jig Massey Jig Company or Jig.
Eric Massey Jig Company on Spotify.
Okay, on Spotify. So you'll be able to listen to this again on podcast. So for those that are listening and stuff, what is the top 5 must-haves when starting out making jigs? The top 5 must-haves. And I'll tell you one of them is, and you can start out with what I've got, and most people do that.
Yeah, a vise, and there's a lot of tools in that kit that Kelly's got that will come in that box. If you're starting out and you've never done it before and you don't know if you like it, I highly suggest getting that box off Amazon. Way to start. I did the exact same one, the exact same kit, and I am still, people can say what they want about that is cheap and it don't work. I still got that whip finish. I've had this whip finish, and you can't find this one nowhere else.
Oh,
that is the best whip finish tool. I've bought 3 or 4 other ones, and that is the best whip finish tool I've ever owned. Is that one to come out of that kit? I still got the same scissors that come out of it. On the table,
I got mine.
It comes with, and there's the original bobbin threader.
Yep.
That come out of that kit, the exact same one. Start with that. If you start with that, then we're going to count that as number 1. That's your number 1. Yes. The kit. Get the kit. Go to Amazon and get the kit. It's a whole lot cheaper than trying to go out and get it all next.
And the good thing with the kit is it comes with
book.
3 bags of these little guys.
That's right. It did come with a little bit.
Yeah. So to start out, to see if that's going to be something you want to do without having to go and buy jigs from people that already made them and dipped them, this is perfect to start out with. That way you know if this is going to be something good for you or not, because it's not for everybody.
And that vise isn't anchored down to using just those small hooks. I tied all the way up to 1/2 ounce jigs in that vise. I still, like I said, I still got it. It's sitting right there, and it will tie anything you put in it.
I've used this jig to tie this. Big old Ned rigs.
Yep, there is that. That is the best. I've sent so many people on Amazon, copied that link and sent it to so many people to.
We talked about
get started.
We talked about this. This is the jig the vise that we talked about before I started doing this. It's like, hey,
was it?
Is this what I needed?
Yeah, and it done me good until I outgrew it. And the only reason I quit using that vise was because I wanted to go to the full rotary function. Was getting up underneath of it. I didn't need to turn it for any reason. I could spin it. And then when I started using the peak rotary vise, I was so used to using that one that didn't spin. I had to force myself to make this one spin because I was used to tying with the one that didn't. And so it took me a while to get used to that. But if we're going to count the whole kit as that's number one.
Number one, yep.
Number two, I would probably get another pair of scissors that are a little bit longer, maybe a pair that's got a curve to them. Because you can take a pair of scissors that's got that curve. I don't know how good you can see that. It's got just a little bit of a curve lift on it.
Curve down, yep.
I can get right up against the body and cut that without having to worry about getting inside here and cutting. I will actually follow the contour of the body when I cut my thread.
Yeah.
It seems like before I'd accidentally cut some of my chenille, some of my thread off. That pair helped me out quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
I would say probably you might want to go. Well, it kind of depends on what you're tying. Chenille would be one of those must-haves.
Yeah. I think with Chanel, at least have a couple. I would say at least one or two colors of those.
Yeah. If you're lucky enough to live someplace that has fly shops, someplace where there's something like that, you're going to run into some stores that sell nothing but fly tying stuff. That is the best place to get your material from. If you're limited and you don't have that, Bass Pro Cabela's carries a lot of stuff, and you can go in and you'll see a lot of it's not really cheap. It's kind of pricey, but pack of 1/4 ounce feathers you probably should be able to get 120 jigs out of if you do your feathers right. So I mean, you're tying for yourself now, so you can make them as bulky as you want or as thin as you want. You can be as cheap as you want, or you can be as elaborate on your jigs as you want. Chanel, different color threads. Man, there's so much stuff I got, but I don't want to say something for a beginner that, like the UV resins and different stuff like that. You really don't need it. Sally Hansen's Hard as Nails top coat finisher for your jig heads. If you're going to end up putting eyes on, there's nothing wrong with using the Sally Hansen's to go over top of it to stick eyes on, or to put it a little bit on a toothpick and dab it against the head to use for thread. I use this instead of head cement. A lot of people say they use head cement, and I tried it, and I really did not care for it very much. It seemed like it wanted to get gooey, wanted to get sticky, nasty in a bottle. I didn't get it like I do the Sally Hansen's, and everybody's got a Walmart pretty close by.
Oh yeah. I've got, and I'm just using a Townley Girl top coat.
Yeah, some kind of clear top coat.
But we talked about it. No cheap. Don't do the cheaps because it just, for some reason, I've heard a lot of people don't use the cheap. Like, don't go to the dollar store and buy you the cheap version of the nail polish, because they say it don't hold up good at all. It don't harden as good.
I don't know if I've ever bought the fingernail polish from Dollar Tree or Dollar General. All I did, if you go to any YouTube channel where somebody is tying a fly, somebody's tying a jig, that you'll see this. I bet Sally Hansen sells more of this to fly tyers than they ever have women.
Oh yeah.
I would have to almost bet money on that. I've even watched fly tyers that were in England talking about using Sally Hansen's to lock down the knot with.
Yeah.
And I don't know if really you're going to need a whole lot more than that to get started with. I mean, that kit's going to sum it up pretty quick.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
with that kit, if you went out and bought everything separate in that kit, you're looking at probably $450, $500, maybe. somewhere in that ballpark.
I mean, a vise itself, a good vise, even if it's like this size right here, this one right here that don't rotate, and you're going to pay $60, $70 just for the vise itself.
Yeah. And then you're talking, scissors. You can find a lot of that stuff in cheaper places. Scissors, you probably can. Mm-hmm. Comes down to whip finish tools. These range anywhere from $9 up to $150, depending on, I've seen some pretty crazy looking contraptions that it took me long enough to figure out how to use this. Some of them other ones, looked to me like they would be 10 times more. I studied them and kind of looked at them like, I don't even want to try it. I know this one works. I know I don't need it. So, and Bass Pro, I think, had these that were, I think they were like $22 for one that's about like this. Yeah. But using this one, holding this one in my hand for the last 10 years, the one at Bass Pro was a little thinner wire framed and I could feel it right off the bat. It looked the same in the package, but when I got it home, it did not feel nowhere near like the one that's in that kit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now the only other thing you upgraded, and the only other thing you upgraded was this.
The bobbin. I do the loon bobbin. The loon bobbin has this spot right here. Mm-hmm. And I can take that, pinch it between my fingers and hold that spool of thread back here, and I can control how fast or how easy the tension is on that spool thread with my hand as I'm tying. So I can squeeze that down kind of, instead of using my whole hand to squeeze it down, I can close it up and slow it down with this bobbin. It fits my hand really good. Yeah. If you do buy the loon bobbin, the one thing they don't tell you about the loon bobbin is that a normal bobbin threader will not make it to the bottom of that. You will end up having to go back and buy the loon bobbin threader, one that's longer, to make it down to the bottom of that. That's the only downside to this one, and I didn't realize it.
Yeah, because when I bought the tube on the one that comes in the kits is actually a lot shorter.
Yeah, a whole lot shorter. Yeah. The bobbin threader that goes in the one in the kit comes to about 3/4 of the way down that tube, but won't make it all the way down. Yeah. If you're talented, you can get that thread started up in there and pull you out some slack, and you can suck the thread through the top of it.
Yeah, a lot of people use that. They just put it in their mouth.
I watched the guy on YouTube do that, and I was like, there is no way that works. And I tried it, and I was like,
yep.
I thread 90% of the time I thread my bobbin like that.
Dave from Double Hook Angling, when he's tying his jigs, that's how he does his. That's how he threads them. He gets them, puts them in there, and then he'll suck them up in through there.
Yeah, just make sure you give yourself a little bit of slack, get it started up in there, and it's good. But those are absolutely my favorite bobbins. I bought 2 of these, and I actually really need to buy like 3 more, but I still, that one, that's one of my favorite ones. Come out of that kit. I like that spot right there, and then it kind of fits my hand the same as the loon does. It's a different spot there you hold on to. Something that my fingers can hold on to, I like a lot better. Yeah. This style, I'm not bashing any company. I can't even really remember who. This is Stonefoe. I wanted to try one like this, and I do not like it. And the reason I don't like it, it'll start backing off tension. Yeah. And the next, you get wrapped up, and your bobbin's laying there, and the next thing you know, it's laying all the way down on the floor, and it just drops loose. I've tried different things to put on those threads to kind of keep it from wanting to back loose, but my hand, not realizing it, will slowly back that lock nut off by accident as I'm tying. I'm pretty sure I could probably train my hand if I worked hard enough to use it, and I would probably like it, but it just don't feel comfortable in my hand. It's the only bad. I see a lot of people use these. A lot of people really swear by these, but it wasn't comfortable for me. Yeah. It was like $23 I wish I would have spent on a loon.
Yeah. Big Mike is in the house. Don R is in the house, and Maurice Cason's in the house. Apache had another question. Said, what would be expected if using duck or goose feathers? And what feathers would work best as it from a wing or chest feather.
You can buy mallard. You can buy all kinds of different duck feathers, mallard feathers, goose feathers. So there's a reason for it. Somebody's tying with it.
Yep.
Offhand, just thinking if I was going to trying to picture in my head the best part of the duck I would want to tie with, it'd probably want to be the breast feathers.
Yeah.
I think you get into those wing feathers, you're getting into material that don't really flex, don't have a lot of bends, a lot of give to it. I think it's probably also going to be, if you get it hit into a 90-degree angle, it's probably going to break. Maybe it won't, but I know a lot of fly tires will use mallard feathers in a lot of their flies.
And one feather we've not really talked about is
peacock.
Peacock.
Yep. I've got peacock. I will use the peacock curl when I'm using when I'm tying bluegill jigs.
Yep.
I like using the peacock curl for little squiggly legs.
Mm-hmm.
Those, they will float and go all over the place. They move so much that even like marabou feathers, it takes absolutely nothing to get all that peacock curl just kind of swimming back and forth. I think it creates a really lifelike appearance to a jig.
Oh, absolutely. We got Gene Tillman in the house. Bugman 22 is in the house. Appreciate y'all coming here. 13 wonderful people in the house. And it's usually that time of the show where we usually go and spotlight a channel from our fishing community. So while I'm guessing Eric's going to try to finish tying on his jig, since we kind of stopped on that and let him keep on going that, and we'll do our little spotlight of the night. So sit back and relax and watch a little video.
When the lights go down, I've seen hell in you, but you don't care, no, you don't care, no. You just rather watch me fall from a golden mile. I can see you at the call. Think about it, ring won't tell you what I saw. When you break it off, you'll see who had it all. You had it all. You said you wanted to fall into oblivion. Forget about the world we're living in. Fall into oblivion, oblivion. Oh, go fall into oblivion.
And we are back, and that is our buddy Mr. Brian B. Catfishing. Everybody
That
should
man
know
looks
who
like he
Mr.
knows how to
Brian
catch
B.
some catfish.
Oh yeah, he does. So and y'all can catch him on every Thursday night on the bait shop with him and Mr. Chad from Fields to Water and Mr. Freddie from FOA. So definitely catch them out. Catch them at, I think they are at 8:00. That is 8:00 p.m. Eastern time. Yeah, Bugman.
Worked the sinking ship for so long.
It's so nice for Chunky to let him hold the fish. That is funny. Mr. Bling himself, yeah. We got a bunch more people in here.
Yeah.
We got 16 wonderful people. Mr. Dave from Double Hook Angling's in the house. We've got Mr. Natural State Fishing, another guy that I've seen tie some jigs. Does pretty good. Yeah. Never knew such a small man can make a fish look so big. Poor Brian B.
Marabou, though, that was one of those feathers that when I first started tying with it, I did not like marabou. I couldn't stand marabou.
Yeah.
And now I probably tie 85% of my jigs out of marabou.
Now we got Jeff Bill in the house. Appreciate you, Jeff. One thing I started out, and a lot of people are going to have issues, is the whip finish. It's not an easy thing.
That took me.
It's not an easy thing.
Absolutely, it's not. But it's one of those tools I try to tell everybody: once you get it, you get it.
Yeah, yeah. It took me a little while.
It took me a while too. I can remember setting up on a jig and just over and over and over and over, and I just kept doing it, and finally it just clicked.
Yeah.
And then once it, like I said, once it clicks, it's like riding a bike. You will never forget how to use the whip finish tool.
Yeah.
It's actually harder for me to show somebody how to do it because it's hard for me to slow down when I do it.
Yeah. I gotta just get used to this nail polish. You starting to use this nail polish stuff. I gotta get used to using it because it's got a strong smell.
Some of them, just about all of them do.
Yeah.
The longer you let them sit out in the open, the more that smell will dissipate. It'll go away. And I've gotten up. I know several mornings I've gotten up and tied a couple of jigs before I left to go to the lake, and I know that smell was still on there. And I don't know if it really, we caught fish on them, and I can't really say that it affected the bite that much, but I ain't going to say that it does. It don't at all, because there's definitely an odor to it.
Yeah.
That's a nice looking jig.
It's got a little blue and orange in there. So
I like the different colors in the tail like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Double Hook he's the one that tried to explain it to me, and it was funny. Yeah, I know. It was funny for you. It wasn't funny for me because I just didn't understand it.
The whip finish tool?
Yeah, I just couldn't understand how to do it. I really could. It was so awkward.
I've watched several people do it on YouTube, and the only one that I found that I learned how to do it from watching was probably SK.
Yeah. Yep.
And I don't know if he actually had a video of doing it or if he just had the right camera angle to where it actually made sense. I was like, oh, I seen what I needed to do. There was a couple other people on there that actually I just posted one the other day of how to do the whip finish. Yeah, I had a guy ask me about showing him how to do it, so I made a video again. I think that's probably like the 5th video I've made on YouTube of how to do it. And like I said, it's hard. It's hard to force yourself to slow down and try to train somebody, but I've taught all my kids how to do it. They all got pretty good at it too.
Yeah. What's that little bag? Let's tie a little fly. What's going on, Bank Fishing Adventures? What's going on? Natural State Fishing says, Eric, do you use that spring material holder?
Not as much as I thought I would.
Okay.
A lot of times when I've got my Chanel loose, I don't really. I've used it a couple times, but it's not. I've gotten so used with my material laying certain ways that I never really could get used to it, and the only reason it's there is because it hasn't fell off yet. If you were tying some of the really complicated flies that you'll see a lot of people do, and they're using like 2 or 3 different body materials, that spring would come in really handy. You could pull one loose and tie with it, and you still got your next one in spot number 2 and spot number 3 where you can pull it off. Using most of the time, I'm only using one color Chanel, and I don't really use that. And it's kind of muscle memory, where my hands are at, where my material's at. And I just haven't forced myself to get used to my Chanel's back there, not over here. Sometimes I'll drape it up over top the desk light I got to get it out of the way. And sometimes when I was doing TikTok videos, I'd have to get the camera so close that I would actually run it up over the back of the camera.
Yeah.
And then just kind of pull it down like that while I was tying. But I don't use it nowhere near as much as what I thought I was going to use it. And I don't think that thing was all that cheap. I want to say it was like maybe $9 or $10. I mean, it's not, really expensive, but
yeah,
it was $9 or $10 I could have spent on a couple of packs of Chanel instead. The one thing that I do use the most on my Peak Feisty accessory is that little D handle.
Let's talk about.
I didn't think it did.
Go ahead, finish.
I didn't think it did for years. I didn't think that made that big of a difference on turning it. But once I got it and put it on, and then I go to one of my other vices that don't have it, then I wish they all had it.
Let's change a little bit. Let's talk about something. Let's talk about some different material. And those that are be listening on Spotify, you can watch this video on the Bullock Experience on the YouTube channel. But I've got a few items here, and a lot of people don't go in depth on how to tie these on. So I'm going to show the material to Eric here on the show and let him explain on how we use these and how we tie them. So it's got that cloth on the bottom of it, so it's just like a little.
Is that one? What material is that one? Rabbit, or is that?
Yeah, it's rabbit.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
The few times that I have used that, I'll usually like pull up a piece and then cut down behind it and take that off kind of like in a strip, not so much as the fibers. And then I'll usually get it tied in. I'll move the fibers up, and then put it back in, and then let the fibers lay down. Is what that's how I tied with it.
Okay.
What I was doing was making a body, the belly of a jig, a solid patch of fur versus the Chanel, which is might have.
Yeah, instead of wrapping it or straight around, yeah,
flatter. It's kind of more like an animal hide versus something prickly and hard. It's a little bit smoother looking. It's got a totally different appearance under the water than your Chanel does.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't used that actually a whole lot. I used it in one order one time. The guy specifically wanted that. And I can't even remember what those jigs look like. Even if I had a picture of them on my Facebook page when I got done with them.
I've tied a couple. I don't have any here with me. Oh yeah, that's that one. There it is. That's that one that I did with that.
Yeah.
So
you're definitely downsizing a whole lot when you're using material like that.
Yeah, you're just barely using, like, that was just a pinch.
Yeah.
That was barely even a little pinch put
Yeah.
on there. So,
But it went a long way in a jig that size and a bait that
yeah.
size.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's different colors. I mean, there's that what I call that one more of the skunk because
Well,
it's
see,
that
and that's
black
what I
with the
thought
white
you had at
stripe.
first, because you can buy a skunk hide, and that's what I thought you had.
Yeah, I mean that's what it looks like. But it came in with, like, it has that one. There's like a bluish, grayish looking one, and then a tan one all
Yeah.
together. There's no labels on them. When I ordered the package, that it didn't come with any labels on it to tell you exactly what it is.
Yeah, I've got some down here that are like that don't have labels on them.
Yeah. Let me see if I can. I'm gonna try to pull these up because I ordered most of my stuff. I ordered on Amazon.
Yeah,
So
I've ordered a lot of them.
I might be able to pull up my orders, so kind of give people an idea of what I actually used, what I bought. Let's see. All right, my cart's up. Let's go here. Account, orders.
I thought I had a mite.
Fly tie.
I've got the whole entire hair mask.
Yeah. All right, so let me. I'm gonna share the screen. This is kind of what I used. This is what I ordered. So that's the box I ordered. It is, as you can see, there it is. It's a starter kit.
That ain't a bad starter kit at all.
No, and it's got those. It's got random colors, so it comes with a box full of random colors, which I've got down below me. It comes with those crystal flash. Oh, never mind. That kit didn't come with the hooks. This did. This is the one that came with the hooks. That's right. I forgot that this was the one that came with. It came with the wet nip and the dry fly hooks. And there they are. There's the three.
Yeah.
That I got. Rabbit zonker. The rabbit zonker.
Zonkers.
Yeah. So then you got the peacock, and then the what they call the turkey. Those are called turkey ones.
Yeah.
Feathers.
I think those are like
turkey marabou. Oh, turkey marabou.
Turkey. Yeah, your most of the time your marabou is a turkey feather.
Yeah.
And there's different parts of that marabou. Some that works really good for bigger size jigs. Some that work a lot better for fly tying really small jigs.
Yeah.
Blood quill marabou is what I usually use in my crappie jigs.
Mm-hmm. And then it came with those. The goose quill pair, the goose Boyd's feathers, the pheasant.
Yeah, they got that kit aimed a lot more for fly tires for sure.
Yeah, and it was set up for fly tires, but it worked well because a lot of that stuff I was using for my bigger jigs too.
Oh yeah.
Once I started getting all my hooks in and stuff like that.
Yeah, you can change a lot of that material, and I have a whole lot of that red Chanel right there that they're showing in that finger on that. A friend had gave it to me, and he's like, he didn't think I would have a use for it because it's so small.
Yeah.
But it works perfect. 64 32nd ounce jigs. The best Chanel I've ever gotten a hold of, and I'm pretty sure that was the exact same stuff, but just a different name brand on them.
Yeah.
It was like Micropolar Chanel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Worked really good.
I think this kit cost me, right now it's on set, it's about $46 for that kit.
And there's definitely $46 worth of material, way over $46 worth of material in that.
Oh, absolutely. $46 for that one, and then the one with the vise and stuff, that was, right now it's actually on sale for $37.75 right now on Amazon.
Yeah. I bought mine about this same time of year, and I think I want to say it was $30 $37, $38, something like that.
Yeah. I've got. Let me pull that one up real quick here. We'll show all that one off real quick. That's. I mean, for people that's starting out, I mean, that's perfect.
Yeah, you ain't gonna beat that. That is a awesome. You know, and if you're going to expand into fly time, some of them other tools you're going to want. Tying crappie jigs, bluegill jigs, you know, your bobbin threader, your bobbin, your scissors, your whip finish tool, the I can't think of the name for it. The
No, not there or this one.
dubbin, your dubbin spinner.
Down.
That's the one right there in the middle. I think that's your dubbin spinner. Where you could actually you could actually make your own chenille with different types of material. You can loop it together and you can spin it and you can make, you know, one small strand into 2, 3, 4, 5 big strands. But I think a lot of people will take that and they'll add it's actually called dubbin, and they'll twist that into their thread when they're tying and then wrap it, and they kind of come up with a chenille thread wrap all at the same time.
Okay.
And a lot of people that actually tie flies can tell you a lot more about those tools. And the long poker looking thing I use to clean the paint out of my jig head eyes, which I know it's not what it was for, but it was the perfect tool for it. And I think it's still sitting right here on the table too, somewhere. I heat it up. If I get paint in the jig head eyes, I heat it up a little bit and I just pop it through the eye to get the paint out of them.
Yeah, the only one I've not really used is that one, which is that one right there. That second one below the threading.
There's a name for it and I can't think what it is.
Yeah. I've never figured out how to use that thing.
Did yours come with the book?
Yeah, I've got the book too. Yeah.
Because I was trying to remember if in that book they taught you how to use the whip finish tool.
Yeah, I think. Let me see. I don't even know if it has the.
Because I couldn't imagine what the pictures how they would try. You know.
Oh yeah.
Example number one. I mean, I couldn't imagine trying to do that. Learn how to use the whip finish tool off of pictures on a book. Yeah. Man, it would have to be a pretty good artist to be able to work you through that.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's the book.
Yeah, that's the same one.
Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, there it is. Let's see.
It really might have worked, but me not wanting to read instructions, I probably went straight to YouTube and looked for a video.
Yeah. So you got the dubbing tool, you got the hackle pliers, scissors, and the bodkin half hitching tool, the threader, and the bobbin and the vise. So
what is that one? The half hitching tool? Is that what that is?
That's what I'm guessing that is. Yep.
Oh, I'm pretty sure somewhere somebody who's going to watch this video and go, I cannot believe those guys don't know what that tool's for.
Yeah.
You know, I guarantee you there's somebody watching right now that knows what that tool is. They're just ain't going to tell us.
Yeah. Actually, it does not tell you. Well, let me go back here. It might. Oh, okay. I know what that is. Okay. So you take this and you can take your thread or like your flash that you put around it and you can twist it to make your flash, your to go around and around and around at the end. So you can make this out of your stuff using this. Like it'll hang down like that.
Oh, and you can twist it. Okay, gotcha.
And you can twist it.
That makes sense.
To make that end part that you want. Yeah. So you can take something that's real thin, like that red one that you got, that red one, and double it
up
and then
just turn it into a big one.
Yeah.
I guess I'm probably doing it the redneck way. I usually just spin it between my fingers.
Yeah.
I usually pinch it up, spin it between my fingers, tie it on, because if you'll watch some of my videos, you'll see my fingers turning and I'm building two of them up into one thicker one.
Yeah.
To do that instead of using that tool.
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool.
But yeah, the whip finish, it actually doesn't even show you in here how to whip it. It don't show you at all.
Well, they probably figured there is no way we can draw that picture and teach somebody how to do that whip finish tool.
Yeah, I mean it's got
But I
good
don't know
pictures
what, you know-
on how to tie the flies, but
Yeah.
it don't show you. It doesn't show you how.
Because
to,
I
how to
can
do
kind
the
of
whip
remember
finish
flipping
again.
through that book trying to get a tip from them, and I think that's where I just went to YouTube, and there was a guy on there, and I cannot remember his name, and I wish I could because man, I would give him so much credit in me learning how to tie, and
Yeah.
he had a jig on there called the Carrot Top, how to tie a
Mm.
jig in like 3 minutes. And he
Yeah.
did the same thing with that whip finish tool. He kind of showed you at the end of it, and he was like, "Well, once you get it, you get it." And he was so right.
Yeah. Yeah, Matt from Wannabe says that's what Kim Burnett does. He just twists it between his fingers, his own, doing his fingers.
Yeah,
to make them.
that's kind of what
I think
do.
a
If
lot
I
of people
get a-
do. I think a lot of people do.
Yeah.
To me, that tool almost like it will take more time. I think.
I think it would too. And if I end up with a really small type of Chanel,
Yeah, that real thin, almost
yeah,
non-existent
this stuff here is like
Chanel.
it's like really, really super thin.
Yeah, I've got some somewhere hanging. I've got some somewhere hanging on my desk somewhere. I've got to
So
get some storage containers.
I'll pull it out like that and kind of
Yeah.
loop it together, and then I'll start up here, and that's where I'll tie my jig in. That's up here, and then I just twist it.
Make it thicker.
Until, it makes it a little bit thicker. But I've taken one piece, turned it into two.
I have used not even doing that and just sit there and just go round and round and round.
Yeah.
And
this will kind of stop you from going. It's kind of which one do you want to use more of? Do you want to use more of the thread, or do you want to use more of this? You know,
See,
if you're really being price conscious, you know, your thread's probably going to be your cheaper route.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because if you take one strain of that, and I don't know how much this stuff was a pack, and now I'm going to double it, so I'm just cut that material in half. I have half of that than what the bag actually says. So if out of one strain, if you get say 75 1/64th ounce jigs, now I'm only going to get 25 or 30 16th ounce or something like that.
Yeah. And they sent me a whole bunch in that little pack. I mean, they sent me a whole bunch of that stuff. I mean,
and that's what I would do with that. I would double it over and tie it again. I've used a lot of material like that.
There's that little red thin one.
Yep. I've got tons of that I got off Amazon.
Yeah.
And that's why I started using that. I ended up with so much of it. I wanted to figure out some way to use it instead of throwing it away because I'm too cheap just to throw it out. So when I started doubling it over, it actually came out looking pretty decent.
Yeah. The one I always have issue with is that one.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy material. It just goes everywhere.
It's just so weird to tie that one because it's like, it's just that.
Yeah.
And it barely has anything on it. It's like,
I think when I tied a couple of jigs with that, when the first time I tried it, I ended up taking a pair of scissors and, giving it a haircut up and down both sides just to make it a little more uniform looking instead of. And I had that jig hanging up here somewhere where I trimmed it all down like that.
Yeah. But that kit that I bought that had all that stuff in it, I mean, there's a ton of thread that came in it.
Yeah.
And it said it'll give you like randoms. It actually gave you like a bunch.
Yeah. Was it random, like different sizes, different deniers?
They're all like 140s.
140 is that's a good thread to tie with. 140.
Yeah, 140s. I mean, there's all kinds. And then double hook also. Dave actually sent me a bunch too. I think most of them are like this one is an E16 8/0 100 millimeter.
Yeah. 140, 210. That's my main threads.
Yeah. I mean, all different colors, different styles. So I mean, different colors. Like some are more soft, and then you got some that are like a shinier one. Like that one. That's the gold. That's almost like gold shiny. Like
It's almost more. It's almost a lot like Flash.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, you might got any questions? Oh, Natural State said, he said, what's that Ray Dune mug say there, Eric?
Coffee.
Coffee. Yeah, he was talking about that kit. He actually uses that kit to take with him to show kids how to tie.
Yeah, that's nice, and it's a perfect little travel case for it to come in.
Yeah.
Carry in.
Yeah, because it comes in.
You can store a lot more in there. It's got a lot of room in it.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure, like I said, with mine, I think I knocked the bottle of Sally Hansen's over inside of it. I couldn't get it off. There was some glitter that got in there, and I ended up using. But I still cut the box because I'd use the box. I'd shut the box and I'd put my jigs on top of that wood pattern, and they made some really good pictures, to put on social media when I was selling jigs a lot. So it made a good background. And I think I finally broke down and threw that thing away like 6 or 7 months ago. I remember it going out. I was like, I got to let it go sometime.
Yeah.
It was no good for nothing else.
Yeah, I've got my computer desk here has the that carbon fiber look on it.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those gaming desks. So I've actually took mine and put that on that because it's got that black carbon fiber look. So it really makes some of them pop out real well.
Yeah.
When I take pictures and put them on YouTube for shorts or whatever when I make jigs. So. You got anything you want to talk about for your podcast viewers or anything?
If I would love to see more people. Like I said, it's new. Bear with me for a little bit. But if you do go there and you watch it, leave me a comment. Let me know what you want to see, what you want me to talk about. Eventually, once I get it up and going, I'll start bringing more people onto the show. Yeah. It's going to take me a while to get the hang of getting it off my phone up to the platform. Then eventually I'll end up changing it over. I'll have it all hooked up on my laptop going through like that, but it's just going to be a little bit of a learning curve, trying to get it there, getting it on time and all that. But the hours I work, sometimes I don't get real consistent with it, but I'm going to try to make it where it's a once a week kind of thing. And I think I'll probably do that along with my YouTube channel, where I'll do a live on Tuesday night. And there will be part of that won't be on YouTube. That'll be on the Spotify, but a lot of it will be on YouTube. But there'll be a big section when I start out, before I get rolling into a YouTube video, that it'll be on Spotify first before it hits YouTube.
Yeah. And then you're still working on your the Google side. Or you said something about, you were talking with Mark the other day about having issues with adding it to some other platform, wasn't it?
Yeah, I didn't think it was taken, but I got an email this morning saying that it had cleared all the Google checks. I think it had to go through a check system first before it went to Google. I haven't gone back and double checked to make sure it was with Google, but then they had also sent me a email along with that saying that mid 2024 Google will no longer have a podcast platform.
Oh gosh.
To some effect. So I literally spent like 2 hours trying to get all that
together,
not knowing it was going to Google. It ended up on Google, and then they were like, "Hey, by the way, sorry, we're not going to be doing this in mid 2024." So then I was like, "Hell, I'll stick with Spotify. Probably get it on." I think it should have went to Apple anyway, going through Spotify. I think if you do through Spotify and you're using Apple products, it automatically goes up to the Apple platform. I think. I wouldn't swear on it. So I haven't been on their Apple podcast yet to actually search it and see if it was there, but I know it's on Spotify.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've already got, I think, 4 or 5 already taped on Spotify for those that want to go and listen.
Yeah. I think 4 or 5. And like I said, the first few were just, okay, I need to see if it's going to work. I sat there and thought about it. And I was like, just hit record and send it and see what happens. See if it all makes it, see if it makes it the right way. Second one. And then the next ones after this will be a little more thought out, planned, wrote out, kind of scripted a little bit more what I want to say instead of going from one subject to another, so I'd appreciate it if anybody's on there, go check it out. Let me know what you think about it. Send a comment.
Absolutely.
Send me something on Facebook Messenger if you can't send me a message on Spotify for some reason. I haven't tried that yet to see if I'll get a message through that. But hit me up with any kind of ideas, and I'm more than willing to give it a shot.
Oh, absolutely. And we'll probably do another one of these probably for the end of
Oh
the year.
yeah,
Probably.
I love doing them. I felt bad not doing it that Thanksgiving night, but man, I got home and she's like, I can't believe you're gonna do a spot. I need help with this tonight. And I was like, yeah, man, I'd rather have you mad at me than her.
Oh no, I wasn't mad. I understood completely when it comes to Thanksgiving dinner. My wife actually, we talked about it that week before, actually not doing a show at all. And I was like, well, we'd had already talked the week before that, really talking about it because that was the week we were going to do the big tying with everybody, and you weren't able to do it that week, but the next week you were. So I went ahead and booked it, and it's like, we'll just go ahead and do it, and it'll be fine. It's after Thanksgiving. It's not gonna, or right before Thanksgiving. It's gonna be fine. But I kind of figured
from here on out the rest. Yeah, it's not bad. I don't know exactly what weekends Christmas falls on and all that, but anytime you're doing one, you need somebody to fill in. Just let me know. I'm more than happy to do it. I love doing them.
Yeah. Let's see. We got anything else? Anybody wants messages? Before we get off here, let's talk about because I know a lot of people you've talked to them on your side on YouTube and on your podcast already that you're not making jigs specifically for people. You're just making the jigs for your containers and selling them as a kit already done.
Until somebody messages me and says they want something different, I cave in pretty quick. I have a hard time telling people no. I like making something. Somebody's got their boat and they say, hey, look, I've got the only ones of these ever made. Some kind of secret weapon. I would prefer to sell them as a box. And it kind of depends on what you want. If you want them all with eyes, of course, if they don't have eyes and they're just plain round ball heads, they'll definitely be cheaper than they will be with eyes, But I get into the eyes, they take a little bit more time. And I don't keep a big inventory because it's never worked for me. Nobody wants what somebody's usually got in inventory. People want custom. People want something different. People want the colors, and that's what got me in the time my own crappie jigs was I liked what this guy did or what this guy did, but I wanted it more like this, and those people would tell me no, and I was like, "I'm fine. I'm going to figure out how to do this." So that's what got me
I like how you put the feathers on there, the marabou feathers, but I'd rather have this different color flash with it, or something different on it. Maybe a different color head, but the rest of the body was fine.
If you order from me and if you're not really, really super, you tell me you want a chartreuse head, a black body, and a red tail, I will make you that. You don't have to get into really detailed. Usually what I'll do is I'll tie one up, I'll take a picture, and I'll send it to somebody, hey, what do you think about this? And it's usually go, no go. Most of the time it's go. Most of the time people are pretty happy with it. Custom orders is what got me to where I kind of am with the jig tying. So I don't really see it stopping 100%, but I needed a break for a while from the phone calls, the text messages, all that. I needed a break from social media. So it was just one of those things where, I'm done. And then after like 2 weeks of not doing it, I was way out of my element, So now getting settled in on first shift, I figured out how my time was going to flow, what's going on in the evening times. So it's making it a little bit easier now for me to get back down here and start doing this again.
Absolutely. But you're just doing the tying. You've pretty much stopped like doing all the pours of the plastics and all that stuff.
Yeah, I sold every single bit of anything that had to do with plastic. All went out the door in one shot. Totally done with that. There was no way I could compete with the guys with the big spin cast, not the spin cast ones. I can't think what they're called, but those ones where they're shooting 25, 30,000 jigs in a day.
Oh yeah.
There's no way I can't compete with that. And people were wanting what I was doing at those kind of prices, and you were talking like 4 cents a jig. There was no money, No. I don't usually justify paying for my time while I'm doing this, but there was absolutely none in doing the plastics for me. Other people might have a way around it, but working a full-time job, having a family, it wasn't possible.
Oh, absolutely.
And it was kind of a mess. It was kind of fun at first. It was all kind of new, and then that liquid plastisol and rubbing alcohols and hot plastic all over the place, little plastic beads.
That smell is.
Some of it ain't so bad, and then you can go down to what they call low odor without that chemical in it that's poisonous and all that, but it's got a smell, and it will seep into you, and you will, even though you're not here doing it. I could have been at work later that night, and I still smelt it. It was like so fresh. It
was ingrained, and the thing is it's probably ingrained in the beard and stuff, and you're still smelling
it. Probably did, but then it made you think in the back of your head, man, am I killing myself doing this? Am I going to live another 2 years? Because this don't feel right. This just don't smell right. So, 25 degrees outside, I'd have the garage door wide open, fans on. I was like, I don't know if it does or not, but I don't want it. I want it away from me because.
Well, I made the mistake. I made the mistake first this year, and I was like, I'm going to do plastics, but I'm not going to go out and buy all this equipment to do injection pores and things like that, buying the little molds and stuff like that. Buddy of mine had a business down here in town in Somerset that he did plastics, but he did top pour. He already made his plaster molds, and you just basically pour it in top molds. I was like, well, I'll take jigs, or I'll take plastics from all my fishing buddies that's been fishing out there for bass, and I'll take their leftovers.
I know
I'll melt them, and I'll melt them. Well, I made the mistake of doing that in his office with the windows open, fans blowing it out thing. It stunk the house up for 2 months.
Yeah.
I took it out the garage, didn't even do any out in the garage, just the leftover stuff stunk. I was like, no. It made me sick. I was like, no, I ain't doing this no more.
Yeah, when I first got into it, I had all the setup. I had the molds, all that stuff. I was waiting for the plastisol to come in. So I was itching to do it. Well, I knew I had bags and bags of bass worms back there. So I got them all out. I started shoving them in cups. I started melting them down. And when I pulled that first cup out, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can live with this. I don't know if I could do this smell. That was the strongest. So I get to looking into it. Well, there's an industrial side of all this too, where they don't, being that it's industrial, they don't really have to worry so much about it not having those cancer causing chemicals and all that stuff in it, because they're going into these big industrial molding injection machines where all that's contained versus the home tire that's sitting here with a hot cup of plastic melting it. So that some of that stuff you get on an industrial level, and you really, you're talking about, you need some kind of respirator, fresh air, more than fresh air. I really think you need a respirator when you're getting into those other bags of old baits.
Yes.
Beware. Be very aware of that.
Oh, it was horrible. Down. It was horrible. And I was looking on YouTube and watching videos, and I was like, okay, what can I get? And I got a hot plate. Electric hot plate, and I got a tin can, an old tin can, like a corn tin can, and basically bent the top to where it would have a pour edge, like a little triangle pour edge, and I just basically took jigs and cut them up in little bitty chunks so it'd melt better. Oh my gosh!
It's rough. There's an industrial side, and then there's a home hobby kind of side, and you want to
and I got a hold of the industrial side, and it was horrible.
Yeah, I did too. Right off before my real plastisol came in, and then I'm smelling this, thinking, oh my gosh, this is what this smells like. So I'm real good friends with Jason Brummel. He does tons of plastics, all that. So I go out to his house on a Saturday morning when I know he's got stuff going, and I said, I need to know what this smells like. And he's like, wow, what happened? So I explained it to him, and that's when I got the hold on, be careful what you're melting down. It's different than what we're using, And I got the smell in his shop, and I was like, well, that ain't so bad. I can deal with that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that bad when I actually got the right stuff in to melt down.
Yeah. Absolutely. But appreciate you coming on here, hanging out.
No, I appreciate you for having me. Thank you.
Definitely. Appreciate everybody that's came in here and hanging out, and hopefully you've learned something. You can always message us on comments on either on the Spotify side or on this side on the YouTube page after the show. If you have any questions, I can always make sure that Eric gets every question. If you had anything that you forgot to ask,
Absolutely, don't hesitate to ask.
Yeah.
I try to answer every question, comment I get on YouTube, Facebook. I really try to go out of my way to make sure people got the right answer.
But yeah, get out there and tie something. I mean, it's a little hobby that you may not regret. I mean, it's maybe something you just have get a little hobby and just have something fun to do.
It's a whole lot easier to hang a jig up and break it off when you've tied it yourself.
Yep, get your kids involved.
Yep.
So, because I did, I'll show it off right when we end. That's my daughter's.
And ain't nothing wrong with that one.
Yep. That's what she tied. That's a little pink feather with a little couple of harder feathers on it. So she likes it, and she did it herself. I didn't help her at all. So, but appreciate everybody coming in here, and we'll end it here, and we'll see you all on the next one. Appreciate you guys.